You're paying twice as much for groceries, but not because the food is better. You're paying for packaging, brand stories, and shopping habits you've never really questioned. Blind taste tests have revealed an uncomfortable truth. In many cases, people can't tell the difference between a high-priced premium product and one that costs half as much. The 12 products below are the clearest proof. If you've always believed that more expensive means better, this list may force you to rethink the way you've been shopping all along. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 12. A $2 chocolate bar beating a $7 one. Chocolate is priced around a sense of luxury, and brands like Lindt and Ghirardelli have capitalized on that for years. A $6 to $7 bar wrapped in thick paper, glossy boxes, and heavy advertising convinces shoppers they're paying for superior quality. But place those bars next to Aldi's Moser Roth, priced at around $2, and that belief collapses in a very uncomfortable way. In blind taste tests, Moser Roth doesn't just taste good for the price, it actually wins. When labels are hidden, people can't tell which chocolate is expensive and which is cheap. The reason lies in something rarely discussed: structure and technique, not branding. Moser Roth is made in Germany, uses real cocoa butter, and is properly tempered, giving it a clean snap when broken and a smooth melt when eaten. What frustrates shoppers even more is the pricing reality. The extra $4 to $5 isn't going into better cocoa. It's going into advertising, packaging, and brand image. Ironically, the cheaper product, like Moser Roth, is individually wrapped, helping it stay fresh longer after opening, while many $7 premium bars are actually less practical. 11. The imported cheese illusion. If there's one Aldi section capable of dismantling the belief that good cheese has to be expensive, it's the Emporium Selection imported cheese range. Many people assume that to enjoy proper Manchego, aged Gouda, or authentic Parmigiano Reggiano, you have to walk into a specialty shop, accept the high prices, and tell yourself, you get what you pay for. But once Emporium Selection hits the table, that assumption starts to fall apart. In reality, many imported cheeses sold at high-end counters aren't the producer's best batches. They're wheels that have been cut down, hand-sliced, displayed under warm lights, opened repeatedly, and exposed to oxygen all day long. Quality begins to decline the moment they're cut, but the price never drops. Shoppers end up paying for the origin label, while the actual flavor is determined by how the cheese is handled after import. The irony is that vacuum-sealed imported cheeses, often dismissed as less premium, preserve structure, moisture, and aroma far better. When the milk source, aging time, and certifications, PDO/DOP, are the same, packaging and cold chain handling are what truly matter. Yet the imported cheese narrative causes many shoppers to overlook this detail and default to the hand-cut counter. 10. The truth behind the $20 olive oil bottle. Olive oil is one of the best storytellers on supermarket shelves. Add a label that says Tuscan or family tradition, a few lines about sun-drenched Mediterranean hills, and the price instantly jumps. But the uncomfortable truth is this: most of the extra money you're paying isn't in the oil, it's in the story. Many expensive bottles labeled Italian olive oil are actually multinational blends. Olives sourced from Greece, Spain, Tunisia, and elsewhere, then bottled in Italy to legally justify the label. The fine print on the back tells the whole story, but few people read it. Meanwhile, Aldi's specially selected extra virgin olive oil, priced around $4.99, carries clear DOP certification by region, with transparent sourcing and cold press standards. Same growing areas, same mills. The difference is marketing. Blind taste tests expose this game. When labels and prices are hidden, tasters can't reliably tell a $20 oil from a $5 one. In many tests, Aldi ranks near the top for flavor, acidity, and balance. The real shock is in the fine detail. Many Italian olive oils are only bottled in Italy, while the oil itself comes from multiple countries. The story sounds Italian. The origin isn't. 9. Can a $5 Aldi coffee shatter the Starbucks belief? Coffee stopped being just a drink a long time ago. It became a belief. And Starbucks built that belief extremely well. $12 to $15 bags, roasting stories, origin narratives, and a refined taste experience. But when you put that belief next to Aldi's Barissimo at $5, a shocking truth emerges. Starbucks doesn't sell better coffee. They sell the feeling that you're drinking better coffee. In blind taste tests, many people can't tell Starbucks beans from Barissimo when brewed at home. The reason is simple but rarely said out loud. Coffee quality depends on freshness, roast style, and turnover, not the logo. Once coffee is roasted, the aroma starts to fade within weeks. A bag of Starbucks sitting on a supermarket shelf for months is already past its flavor peak, even if it's not expired. Aldi, by contrast, has extremely fast inventory turnover, meaning Barissimo is often fresher despite being cheaper. The extra money you pay for Starbucks isn't in the beans. It's in marketing, branding, and the comfort of buying something familiar. Starbucks spends hundreds of millions on advertising and image building, and that cost goes straight into the price. Aldi doesn't. They source beans from the same well-known regions, Colombia, Ethiopia, and Guatemala, roast consistently, and sell directly. 8. European butter doesn't need a royal price tag. Many shoppers are used to premium-priced butter labeled from Ireland or France and believe it represents an irreplaceable standard. But once you take the packaging off the table, the difference becomes so small it's hard to justify the markup. Great European-style butter comes down to high butterfat content, good milk, and proper churning. These factors aren't exclusive to a handful of famous brands. Many butter batches are produced in the same regions, to the same standards, sometimes even in the same facilities. They split at the packaging and storytelling stage. The expensive block gets wrapped in images of green pastures and long traditions, and the price jumps. The other block strips away the decoration and goes straight to the shelf at a much lower price. Aldi's Irish-style butter lines have high butterfat, stay soft at room temperature, carry a clear dairy aroma, and melt quickly on warm bread. In blind tastings, many people can't tell the difference between royal butter and Aldi butter. In cooking and baking, the results are often nearly identical because what matters is fat content and freshness, not the logo. A few extra dollars per block may not seem like much, but over a year it adds up to real money spent on the feeling of buying peace of mind. When people switch to Aldi butter, many realize the experience doesn't change at all. Only the receipt gets lighter. 7. $30 cheese that tastes the same as $8 cheese. For years, many people have believed that good cheese has to be expensive. A polished cheese counter, staff cutting wedges by hand, describing aromas, aging time, and the region where the cows were raised, all of it convinces you that a $25 to $30 price tag makes sense. But the uncomfortable truth is this. Many $30 pieces of cheese and $8 pieces come from the exact same place. The biggest difference is how they're sold, not the quality. Take 24-month Parmigiano Reggiano, cave-aged Gruyere, or Manchego DOP. At premium counters, the price is inflated by hand-cutting, display cases, lighting, labor, and the experience. Aldi's specially selected cheeses, on the other hand, are imported in full wheels from the same European producers, vacuum-sealed at the source, and sold without the performance in between. The result is cheese that's fresher, less oxidized, and more temperature-stable than wedges that sit under hot lights all day. What's most uncomfortable isn't the price gap, it's that everyone knows it. Many cheesemongers quietly admit they buy Aldi cheese for their own families. They understand that quality comes from the milk, the aging process, and proper storage, not from the story told behind the counter. You're paying for peace of mind at an expensive cheese counter, for guidance, and for regional storytelling. But what ends up on your plate doesn't justify the markup. The irony is that even people who sell premium cheese often buy their own cheese at Aldi. Like the video if this surprised you. 6. Good bacon doesn't need fancy packaging. You've been paying for bacon the wrong way, and this truth makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Not because Aldi's bacon is extraordinary, but because many expensive packs you've bought simply weren't worth the price. You were sold on the packaging, and once the bacon hits the pan, all those pretty stories collapse instantly. Bacon isn't good because it says artisan. It's not good because there's a smiling farm family on the label. Good bacon comes down to slice thickness, meat-to-fat ratio, and how it's processed, details that are rarely made clear. Many high-priced bacons are thin-cut and water-injected. When cooked, they shrink aggressively, release water, curl up, and lose their smoke flavor. You think you bought something premium, but what ends up in the pan feels cheap. Aldi doesn't play that game. Their bacon goes straight to the things packaging can't hide: thick slices, visible meat, clean white fat. It holds its shape in the pan, browns evenly, and delivers a clean smoke aroma. No story needed, no explanation required. One look at the skillet tells you everything. In blind tastings, many people can't tell Aldi bacon from expensive brands, and plenty actually prefer Aldi because it tastes more satisfying. The blunt truth is this: good bacon doesn't need a wrapper. You don't eat the packaging. You eat what's sizzling in the pan. And once you face that fact, it's hard to keep buying bacon the way you used to. 5. The failure of chocolate chips. Chocolate chips are a default ingredient in American kitchens, and Nestlé Toll House has become almost iconic. That familiar yellow bag creates a sense of safety. Buy it, and your cookies will turn out fine. But that familiarity has hidden a quiet failure. Toll House is living on brand memory, not current quality. When Toll House is put head-to-head with Aldi's Baker's Corner chocolate chips, the shock comes with the very first bake. Toll House tends to melt poorly, with chips holding their shape in stiff chunks and sweetness overpowering the cocoa. Baker's Corner, nearly half the price, melts more evenly, delivers a clearer cocoa flavor, and produces a softer, moister texture in baked goods. This isn't just subjective opinion. Numerous baking bloggers and blind tests using identical recipes have produced an embarrassing result. Most tasters choose the cookies made with Aldi chocolate chips. So what's the issue? Cocoa content and fat composition. Toll House has adjusted its formula for industrial consistency: less cocoa, more stabilizers and structure-holding ingredients. That makes large-scale production easier and more uniform, but it comes at the cost of flavor. Baker's Corner doesn't carry that burden. Less marketing, less heritage, and in return, chocolate that actually behaves the way it should in the oven. 4. Pasta sauce exposes the premium food industry. Pasta sauce is often seen as a safe shortcut for family meals, and Rouse has been elevated as the gold standard. An $8 to $9 jar, serious-looking packaging, and the story of an authentic Italian restaurant convince many people they're buying something superior to the rest of the shelf. But when you look at the reality, Rouse doesn't represent exceptional quality. It represents how the premium food industry sells belief. Rouse ingredient list isn't a secret: tomatoes, olive oil, garlic, salt, and basil. It's a basic marinara recipe that almost any home kitchen could make. The problem is that when the New York Times conducted a blind taste test of more than 30 pasta sauces, Aldi's specially selected marinara, priced at just $3.49, came out on top, beating Rouse in front of professional chefs. Not once. America's Test Kitchen and multiple independent food bloggers later reported similar results. This exposes an uncomfortable truth. Most of the extra money you pay for Rouse isn't in the sauce. It's in the brand image. Thick glass jars, the restaurant sauce positioning, and constant shelf presence all create a false sense of security. Meanwhile, Aldi's specially selected offers a nearly identical ingredient list: no added sugar, no pointless additives, and delivers the same real-world cooking results. 3. Organic products and the unnecessary markup. Organic food has to be expensive is a belief repeated so often it's become the default. And that belief has led many people to pay more without ever questioning it. But when you look closely at Aldi's Simply Nature line, from eggs and milk to produce, a shocking truth emerges. Organic isn't expensive. Shoppers are simply paying an extra belief tax. Compare directly. Simply Nature organic eggs cost around $3, while eggs with the same USDA organic certification and the same pasture standards sell for $6 to $7 at upscale chains. Organic milk follows the same pattern: different labels, big price gaps, but identical nutrition panels and certifications. There is no such thing as more organic. There is only a higher price because of where you're standing. That price gap doesn't come from the farm. It comes from the retail experience, polished stores, lighting, displays, green living branding, and a packaged sense of moral virtue. Simply Nature strips all of that away and keeps only what organic actually requires: clear sourcing, clear certification, and fair pricing. Simply Nature doesn't make organic cheaper. It restores organic to its real price. When the same egg, the same glass of milk, and the same certification cost several dollars more, the real question isn't, is organic worth it? It's who's charging you extra. 2. Specially selected ice cream is really selling air. Premium ice cream has long been sold through a very expensive illusion. You think you're buying ice cream, but you're actually buying air. $6 to $7 pints from brands like Haagen-Dazs or Ben & Jerry's are marketed as the standard. Yet when you break down what's inside, Aldi's Specially Selected exposes how fragile that belief really is. The truth lies in a concept few brands want to talk about openly: overrun, the amount of air whipped into ice cream. Cheaper ice cream usually contains more air, making it lighter and faster to melt. What's shocking is that many premium brands aren't much different. Specially Selected, by contrast, has low overrun, a dense structure, and real weight. One scoop is enough to tell you you're eating ice cream, not frozen foam. The ingredient list makes the contrast even harsher. Cream, sugar, eggs, real vanilla, no corn syrup, no fake fat replacers. Blind taste tests show most people can't tell the difference, and many actually choose Specially Selected for its richer flavor and smoother melt. Madagascar vanilla shows visible vanilla bean specks. The chocolate gelato delivers real cocoa depth without cloying sweetness. Seasonal flavors that repeatedly sell out only reinforce one thing: a lower price doesn't mean lower quality. 1. Fremont Fish Market Frozen Seafood. Frozen seafood is one of the product categories where consumers are most easily guided by fear. You're repeatedly told that frozen fish is less fresh or just something to eat when you have no other option, while good seafood must come from the fresh counter, cost more, and come with someone standing behind the case offering advice. Aldi's Fremont Fish Market is a clear example of how that belief is being exploited. Here's the first uncomfortable truth. Most fresh seafood in supermarkets was previously frozen. Fish and shrimp are often frozen at sea or at processing facilities to preserve quality, then thawed before reaching the display case. Fremont Fish Market doesn't hide this. They keep the product frozen, skip the presentation, and skip the storytelling. The result is that you're buying the actual product, not paying for the performance. The difference becomes obvious when you look at the ingredient lists. Cod fillets, salmon, and peeled shrimp from Fremont Fish Market typically contain just seafood and water. No phosphates or water-retaining additives commonly found in many higher-priced premium frozen seafood products. The real issue is price. A bag of frozen shrimp or fish from Fremont often costs 30 to 50% less than products marketed as premium, even though the catch source, size, and handling standards are comparable. Blind tests show that once the seafood is cooked and served as a finished dish, most people can't tell the difference. After breaking down all of these examples, the biggest takeaway isn't how much cheaper Aldi is. It's how you reassess your own shopping habits. Many expensive products aren't better because they're higher quality, but because they're wrapped in stories, packaging, and the feeling of buying peace of mind. When you remove labels from the equation, blind tests consistently show that the differences are far smaller than the extra money being paid. Smart shopping isn't about buying the cheapest option. It's about not paying for things that aren't actually in the product. Which product in the video surprised you the most? You walk into Aldi with a 25-cent coin confident that you're shopping cheaper than anywhere else. But by 2026, what you unlock may not be just a shopping cart. Prices could change while you're standing in front of the shelf. Discounts may be reserved only for those willing to hand over personal data. And shoppers who value privacy could end up waiting longer in line and paying more. Aldi is changing in ways most shoppers were never clearly told about. Let's take a closer look at the quiet shifts now unfolding to see what low prices are really being traded for and whether Aldi's familiar advantage still holds up the way you think it does. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Tightening the twice-as-nice return policy. The twice-as-nice guarantee was once one of the biggest reasons shoppers felt confident choosing Aldi. If a product didn't meet expectations, had quality issues, or was simply a wrong buy, customers could return it and receive both a refund and a replacement. This policy reduced the risk of trying Aldi's private label products, which make up most of what's on its shelves. But heading into 2026, that policy is being quietly tightened. There's been no official announcement, no clear update on the website. Instead, changes are happening at the returns. Counter receipts are now required even for low-priced items. Usage is checked more carefully, and each case is reviewed individually rather than being automatically approved. Returns that used to be quick and painless now feel awkward and time-consuming. For example, you buy a bag of Aldi private label snacks, open it, and find it stale and not crunchy. Before, you could take it to the counter and get a refund plus a replacement with no hassle. Now, staff may ask for a receipt. Inspect how much has been opened and decide whether the return will be accepted. No one says the policy has changed, but the experience alone is enough to make many shoppers think it's better not to try something new next time, just to avoid the trouble. Behind this shift is growing pressure to control losses and rising operating costs. When prices are being held steady through shrinkflation and profit margins are tighter, returns become an area that needs to be restricted. Some stores have even started tracking return frequency through payment cards or app accounts, making the shopping experience uneven from one customer to another. For consumers, this means higher risk when shopping. Trying new products is no longer as easy and mistakes are on you. In a time when prices are no longer as cheap as they once were, losing a friendly, no-questions-asked return policy is a major change, one many people only realize after it's already affected them. 2. Phasing out sub-brands, unifying under the Aldi label. Another change happening quietly but with deep impact on how shoppers remember and evaluate products at Aldi is the gradual removal of sub-brands in favor of a single unified Aldi label. In the past, even though most items were private label, each product category still had familiar names that helped shoppers tell them apart. You knew which cereal line you were buying, which chicken product, and which snack range. Those names created shopping memories. If something was good, you remembered to buy it again. If it was bad, you knew what to avoid. As everything is folded into one unified Aldi original look, that sense of choice starts to fade. The packaging looks cleaner and more modern, but at the cost of fewer visual anchors for recognition. A product that once had consistent quality may change suppliers, recipes, or country of origin, and shoppers struggle to tell whether it's the same line or a quiet replacement. This blurs not only positive memories but also past bad experiences. This standardization brings another advantage for the retailer. Detailed information becomes harder to notice. When every label uses the same layout, the same fonts, and the same placement for ingredient panels, shoppers are more likely to miss small but important differences, changes in ingredients, allergen warnings, or sourcing. The shopping experience feels smoother, but it also raises fewer questions. Visually, Aldi is moving closer to the look of a clean premium chain. But in terms of experience, shoppers lose an important tool, the ability to compare based on memory. When everything carries the same name and style, it no longer feels like you're choosing between different product lines, you're simply picking up an item from the shelf. 3. Dynamic pricing. One of the hardest changes for shoppers to notice, but also one of the most concerning, is that prices are no longer as fixed as they used to be. As Aldi moves toward electronic shelf labels, the price you see is no longer a firm promise but a number that can change depending on the moment. On the surface, everything still looks familiar. The same aisles, the same products, and the same minimalist style. But behind the scenes is a system capable of adjusting prices based on peak hours, store traffic, weather conditions, or even shopping behavior. Buying milk during the after-work rush may cost more than during a quiet midday visit. On hot days, bottled water creeps up in price. On rainy weekends, last-minute essentials are suddenly no longer cheap. What puts shoppers at a disadvantage is how subtle these changes are. You see the price, put the item in your cart, and move on. No one tells you the price was lower a few minutes ago or might be higher a few minutes later. Unlike paper tags, which stay the same all day, electronic pricing turns shopping into an experience without a fixed reference point. Shoppers don't know whether they're paying a normal price or one inflated by timing. Aldi frames this as a way to operate more efficiently. In reality, it shifts the balance of power. When the retailer knows exactly when you shop and under what conditions, they gain a decisive advantage in optimizing profit moment by moment. Even just a few extra cents per customer during peak hours can add up to a massive sum, while shoppers may never fully realize it's happening. 4. Customer tiering. In the past, walking into Aldi was a fairly flat experience: no membership cards, no reward codes, and no logins required. Everyone saw the same prices and paid the same amount. That simplicity was once a major differentiator. But now, a fundamental shift is taking shape. At Aldi, customers are increasingly being tiered based on whether or not they use the app. Once the app becomes a required gateway, the shopping experience starts to split into 2 lanes. For app users, entry is faster, checkout is smoother, and most importantly, they gain access to special prices and exclusive deals. For those who don't use the app, everything slows down: longer lines, fewer options, and sometimes higher prices for the exact same product. No one calls it a penalty outright, but the feeling of being pushed to the back of the line is unmistakable. What's notable is that this divide isn't based on how much you spend, but on how willing you are to share data. The app doesn't just track what you buy, it collects how often you shop when you visit and how you make choices. That data is used to personalize offers, but it also shapes how you're treated in-store. The more data you give, the better the experience you receive. For older shoppers, cash payers, or anyone who simply doesn't want to be tracked, the alternative is to accept a basic experience: no deals, no priority, no convenience. Over time, this makes not using the app a clear disadvantage, even though it used to be the default. Like this video if this surprises you. 5. Gradually removing self-checkout. Another change many shoppers only notice when they reach the checkout is that self-checkout stations are slowly disappearing from Aldi. Over the past few years, self-checkout was seen as a step forward: faster, less stressful, and more controlled. Shoppers could scan their own items, pack at their own pace, and avoid squeezing into rushed cashier lanes. But that convenience is now being quietly rolled back. The stated reason is inventory loss. After self-checkout was introduced, incidents of mis-scanning missed items or intentional theft increased. For Aldi, a retailer operating on very thin margins, this level of risk is hard to accept. Instead of upgrading systems or increasing oversight, many stores have chosen to shut the machines down. The problem is that self-checkout is being removed without a corresponding increase in staff. Traditional checkout lanes are now handling twice the volume while cashier numbers remain the same. The result is long lines during peak hours, tighter spaces, and a shopping rhythm that once felt quick and efficient becoming heavy and slow. Shoppers lose time. Employees face more pressure. What was once seen as German-style efficiency starts to feel like a bottleneck. The contradiction is hard to miss. While self-checkout is eliminated due to a lack of trust in shoppers, Aldi is simultaneously preparing more advanced surveillance systems. In other words, self-payment is considered too risky, but comprehensive tracking of shopping behavior is being expanded. For the average shopper, the most obvious reality is simple: visiting Aldi during peak hours now means waiting longer. This change isn't loud or dramatic, but it steadily erodes the experience. As wait times increase, low prices begin to carry an invisible cost: your time and your patience. 6. The surveillance supermarket model. A larger shift is taking shape behind Aldi's shelves: the rise of the surveillance supermarket, where convenience and low prices are no longer free. Instead, they are exchanged for personal data. The familiar shopping experience: walk in, pick items, pay, leave, is being replaced by a far more detailed tracking system. In this new model, shoppers are encouraged to use the app to scan in at the entrance. Cameras and shelf sensors record every item you pick up and put back, and even the moments when you hesitate. Checkout nearly disappears: you simply walk out. On the surface, it's a seamless experience, especially for those who hate waiting in line. But the cost is that every aspect of your shopping behavior is recorded. That data goes far beyond what you bought. It reveals when you shop how fast or slow you move, which products hold your attention longer, and what you put back after seeing the price. This information is far more valuable than a receipt. It allows retailers to adjust store layouts, personalize promotions, and even shape the prices you see on future visits. For those who don't want to participate in this system, the alternative is a traditional experience, longer lines, manual checkout, and fewer discounts. No one forces you to hand over your data, but as the differences in time, price, and convenience become more pronounced, opting out becomes increasingly difficult. What begins as a choice gradually turns into quiet pressure. 7. Closing older stores and creating food deserts in low-income communities. Aldi's closure of older stores in low-income areas is producing a clear outcome. Many communities are losing their only source of fresh food. When a store's sign comes down the gap, it leaves behind isn't just an empty building, it's a disruption to the daily lives of thousands of residents who relied on it. As Aldi continues to expand, it prioritizes locations with strong purchasing power and stable profitability. Stores in small towns or lower-income neighborhoods, even those that have served their communities for years, are increasingly viewed as financially unviable. They are shut down, leaving local residents with very limited alternatives. When a supermarket disappears, the remaining options are often convenience stores or discount chains that mainly sell packaged and processed foods. The distance to the nearest full supermarket can stretch to dozens of miles beyond the reach of older adults, people without private transportation, or households living on fixed incomes. Access to fresh food stops being a choice and becomes a real barrier. Food deserts don't form because communities don't need supermarkets, but because that need isn't profitable enough. While the brand continues to promote an image of serving every family, the reality shows that only areas meeting financial targets are allowed to remain. 8. Shrinkflation. Shrinkflation is becoming a familiar tool for Aldi to maintain its low-price image while operating costs continue to rise. Instead of raising prices outright, the shelf price stays the same while the amount inside quietly shrinks. For rushed shoppers, the feeling of saving money remains intact. For those who look closely, the real value has changed. The signs are easy to miss: meat trays weighing a few ounces less, cereal boxes getting slimmer, and toilet paper rolls feeling looser. Each change is small, just enough to avoid strong reactions. But over time, they add up. Shoppers end up paying the same amount for less product. This tactic works especially well at Aldi, where many customers assume it's always cheaper here and rarely double-check unit pricing. Shrinkflation also exploits muscle memory. You grab the same item from the same spot on the shelf at the same price, and your brain skips the details. It's only when the product runs out faster than usual, or when you compare it to an older package, that the difference becomes obvious. By then, the change has already become the new normal. What makes this more effective is that shrinkflation doesn't happen in isolation. It comes alongside label unification, packaging changes, and visual refreshes that make it harder to tell which version is the original and which one has been reduced. Comparison becomes blurred, especially for private label products with no clear brand reference. When prices stay the same but quantities shrink, shoppers begin paying today's prices for yesterday's value. And in that context, Aldi's cheaper advantage is no longer clear. It only exists if you don't look too closely. 9. The aisle of shame loses its surprise factor and the experience gets flattened. The aisle of shame used to be the reason many people walked into Aldi without a shopping list. You came in for milk only to stop in your tracks over something unexpected: a tent, a mini coffee maker, or a pair of rain boots sitting next to gardening tools. That deliberate chaos made shopping feel like exploration, and it was the soul that set Aldi apart from other supermarkets. That experience is now being gradually flattened. As Aldi expands and targets a more mainstream audience, data suggests the unexpected treasure hunt model isn't as effective as it once was. Quirky, hard-to-predict items are seen as risky. In their place are safer, easier-to-sell, more predictable products. The aisle of shame still exists, but it surprises far less often. When algorithms start deciding what goes on the shelf, the element of chance disappears. You no longer feel like you've stumbled into an interesting impulse buy. Instead, you're walking past a display that's been carefully calculated. Fewer surprises mean less emotion. And when shopping stops feeling like discovery, shoppers focus almost entirely on price and area, where Aldi now faces much stronger competition. This shift makes Aldi look cleaner and more predictable, but also more like every other major chain. The aisle of shame goes from being a destination to just another side aisle, one you pass through out of habit, not curiosity. 10. Greenwashing. Green packaging commitments were once one of the big promises that helped Aldi build its image as cheap but responsible. The company talked about reducing plastic, increasing recycling, and moving toward more environmentally friendly solutions. But when you look at an actual shopping cart, the gap between those promises and reality becomes increasingly obvious. Thin plastic still wraps fresh produce. Foam trays still sit under fresh meat. Plastic mesh bags for fruit hard to recycle film. For frozen foods and mixed material plastics that are nearly impossible to process are still everywhere. The green commitments haven't disappeared, but tangible results haven't kept pace. Instead of acknowledging slow progress, Aldi has shifted toward a different approach: greenwashing. Recyclable labels are printed prominently, often paired with the familiar phrase, "check locally." In theory, that's true. In practice, most local recycling facilities can't process these types of plastics. The end result is still the regular trash bin. The only difference is that shoppers feel a little less guilty. Even products promoted as alternatives, such as thicker reusable plastic bags, don't really solve the problem. Most shoppers use them a few times and then discard them. These bags break down more slowly than thin plastic, leaving behind heavier waste that draws less attention. The problem doesn't go away, it's simply hidden behind marketing language. Greenwashing doesn't damage the environment overnight. It erodes trust. When shoppers realize that most of the responsibility is pushed onto them sorting correctly, recycling properly, while packaging choices remain limited, the green promise becomes a thin shell. And when that shell peels away, what's left is a familiar question: is this a genuine effort or simply a way to make the problem feel more acceptable? Aldi isn't changing in just one isolated area. It's reshaping the relationship between the retailer and its shoppers. Pricing is more flexible. The shopping experience is increasingly tiered. Return policies are harder to use, and the commitments that once built trust are fading. Low prices are no longer a given, they come with unspoken conditions. The real value for viewers is learning to shop more deliberately, compare prices by weight, and understand that you're trading data time and choice for prices that only seem cheap. Which part of the video surprised you the most? Do you think Aldi is just a discount grocery store? Behind those neatly arranged shelves and simple packaging is a whole system of insider tactics that longtime shoppers rarely talk about. It's the same store, yet some people save a few $dozen while others cut over $100 from their weekly bill. Let's uncover the secrets only seasoned Aldi shoppers know. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. The 25-cent cart system. One of the things that often confuses first-time shoppers at Aldi is the shopping cart system that requires a 25-cent coin to unlock a cart. For newcomers, it can feel like a small inconvenience. Why should you have to insert money into a cart just to shop for groceries? But people who regularly shop at Aldi know this isn't really about the quarter. It's part of a larger strategy that helps Aldi keep its prices lower than most other supermarkets. The system itself is very simple. You insert a quarter into the lock to release a cart. When you return the cart to the designated area, the coin pops back out and you get your quarter back. It may seem like a small detail, but it allows Aldi to eliminate a major cost that traditional supermarkets still carry: paying employees to collect carts from the parking lot. According to analyses from several retail experts, large supermarket chains in the United States spend thousands of labor hours each year at every store just managing and retrieving shopping carts. Aldi removes that expense entirely and passes the savings directly back to customers through lower prices. The quarter system also creates an unspoken agreement between shoppers and the store. Because everyone wants to get their coin back, most customers naturally return their carts to the proper spot. As a result, Aldi parking lots are often far more organized than those at many other supermarkets, with fewer stray carts rolling around, scratching cars, or taking up parking spaces. Seasoned Aldi shoppers even develop their own small strategies around it. Many people keep a quarter in their car or attached to their keychain so they always have one ready. Some families even turn cart returns into a tiny reward for their kids. Return a few carts each week, and those quarters can easily add up to enough for a small snack after the grocery trip. The best time to shop: Wednesday. If you ask people who have been shopping at Aldi for years when the best time to go is, many of them will answer immediately: Wednesday morning. It may sound simple, but for shoppers who understand how Aldi operates, this is almost a golden rule that helps them consistently find the best products at the best prices. The reason lies in Aldi's promotion cycle. Unlike many supermarket chains that update discounts over the weekend, Aldi starts a new promotion cycle on Wednesday and runs it through the following Tuesday. That means all the new deals, updated price tags, and fresh Aldi finds typically appear on Wednesday mornings. If you visit the store at that time, you're often among the first shoppers to see items that have just been placed on the shelves. Longtime shoppers often say the difference between Wednesday and the weekend is very noticeable. One US blogger who shares budget shopping tips once wrote that after she switched her Aldi trip to Wednesday mornings before work, she was almost always able to find every product featured in the weekly deals. But when she returned to the store on Sunday afternoon, many shelves were already picked over, especially the items with the biggest discounts. This timing matters even more for Aldi finds. Limited-time products that are only available for a short period. Popular items that go viral on TikTok or Instagram, such as mini air fryers, seasonal decor, or budget-friendly home goods, can sell out within just a day or two. Many retail employees have also confirmed that certain viral products can disappear from shelves before the promotional week even ends. In addition, Wednesday is often a major restocking day for many Aldi stores. After delivery trucks arrive earlier in the week, employees reorganize and refill the sections for produce, meat, and other fresh foods. That means Wednesday morning gives you the best chance to pick from the newest batches. So if you've ever visited Aldi on the weekend and noticed many shelves already looking picked over, it's not because the store is running out of stock. In most cases, you're simply arriving after shoppers who have known this secret for a long time. Going to Aldi on Wednesday morning almost always leads to the best shopping experience. The twice-as-nice return policy. One of the reasons many long-time Aldi shoppers feel comfortable trying almost any new product is the store's twice-as-nice guarantee. At first glance, some people assume it's just a marketing slogan. But once you understand how it actually works, it becomes clear that this is one of the most generous return policies in the grocery retail industry. The principle behind the program is very simple. If you are not satisfied with a product under an Aldi store brand, you can receive a refund and also get a replacement product of the same item. In other words, you get your money back and another product to try at the same time. That's exactly why it's called twice as nice. It offers customers double reassurance. What surprises many people is how widely this policy applies. It covers a large range of products, including produce, meat, frozen foods, and many packaged food items under Aldi's private label brands. Many Aldi shopping communities in the United States often share real experiences that show just how flexible this policy can be. Some shoppers have said they returned food items that spoiled earlier than expected, and the store handled the return almost immediately without any hassle. This policy is also a major reason why experienced Aldi shoppers are willing to experiment with new products. In reality, Aldi frequently introduces new items, especially within the Aldi Finds section or seasonal food lines. Without this kind of guarantee, many customers might hesitate to try products they've never purchased before. For people who regularly shop at Aldi, the twice-as-nice guarantee is more than just a return policy. It acts as a layer of protection that allows shoppers to confidently explore new products without worrying about wasting their money. The pattern behind Aldi Finds. Many people think Aldi Finds are simply random items that appear unexpectedly each week. You walk into the store and suddenly see a mini coffee maker, a gardening tool set, or even an inflatable kayak. Then the next week, they're gone. But for longtime shoppers, Aldi Finds are far from random. In fact, they tend to follow clear seasonal patterns and timing throughout the year. Aldi Finds are essentially limited-time products that usually appear for a short period and in relatively small quantities. According to data from Aldi's own weekly ads, the store introduces dozens of special items to shelves every week. These can range from home goods and kitchen tools to fitness equipment and imported foods. Interestingly, many of these items return around the same time each year. Experienced shoppers often begin to recognize these patterns after following Aldi for a few years. For example, fitness-related products, such as dumbbells, yoga mats, or home workout equipment, tend to appear heavily in January when many people start new health goals for the year. Meanwhile, gardening supplies, plant pots, and outdoor tools usually show up in large numbers during the spring, just as the weather begins to warm up. Because of this, seasoned Aldi shoppers can often predict when a product they like is likely to return. On many forums such as Reddit or Facebook groups dedicated to sharing Aldi deals, some shoppers even create monthly tracking lists for Aldi finds. They record when a product appears, the price, and how quickly it sells out. After a few years, these notes reveal very clear repeating cycles. Instead of rushing to buy something the moment they see it, experienced shoppers often plan ahead. If they know a certain item typically returns in the fall, they simply wait for that season to come around again and buy it at the best price. Simple packaging but high-quality products. One of the things that makes many first-time shoppers at Aldi a little skeptical is how simple the product packaging looks. There are no flashy advertising slogans, and some packages even use very basic colors. For many people, this can create the impression that the product inside might be cheap and low quality. But longtime Aldi shoppers know that the reality is often the exact opposite. The truth is that Aldi intentionally keeps its packaging minimal to reduce marketing and design costs. According to many analyses within the U.S. grocery retail industry, expenses related to advertising, packaging design, and marketing can make up a significant portion of a product's final retail price for major brands. Aldi takes a completely different approach. Most of the products in the store are private label items, meaning Aldi builds its own brands instead of relying heavily on national brands. This allows the company to control production costs and keep packaging simple. According to reports from several retail organizations, more than 80 to 90% of the products sold at Aldi are private label, a much higher percentage than what you typically see at traditional supermarkets. Interestingly, some people within the food industry have revealed that certain Aldi private label products are produced in the same factories as well-known national brands. Experienced shoppers sometimes even compare ingredient lists and nutrition labels to find similarities between the products. Consumer magazines such as Consumer Reports have also conducted multiple taste tests comparing Aldi's private label items with national brands. In many cases, products like chocolate, olive oil, and snack foods from Aldi have been rated just as good as, or even better than, more expensive brand name options. Because of this, longtime shoppers often pay far less attention to the appearance of the packaging. Instead, they focus on the ingredient list, the product's origin, and the real value it offers. And this is one of Aldi's biggest secrets. You're not paying for advertising, you're paying for the product inside. Like the video if this surprised you. The middle aisle, where the biggest deals hide. If you've ever walked into an Aldi and noticed a section in the middle of the store filled with a mix of items, from air fryers and gardening tools to winter jackets, that's what the Aldi shopping community often jokingly calls the middle aisle, or sometimes even the aisle of shame. But behind that humorous nickname is actually one of the best places in the entire store to find major deals. Unlike the regular grocery shelves, the middle aisle mainly features Aldi finds. What makes this area special is the way Aldi sources these products. According to many retail industry analyses, Aldi often purchases close-out merchandise, excess inventory, or specially produced batches from suppliers at extremely low prices. The store can then sell these items for significantly less than typical retail prices. Because of this strategy, it's not unusual to see products here with price tags that genuinely surprise shoppers. Over the years, household appliances such as stand mixers, electric pressure cookers, and coffee machines from Aldi's in-house brands like Ambiano or Crofton have often been sold for only a fraction of the price of similar products from major brands. On consumer forums in the United States, many shoppers have shared stories about buying kitchen equipment at Aldi for just 1/3 or even 1/4 of the price of comparable items at other stores. Some deal-hunting bloggers in the US even joke about the experience. You walk into Aldi planning to buy milk and eggs, but somehow you leave with a pizza oven or a full gardening tool set. Another important detail is that the quantities in this section are usually very limited. Once an item sells out, Aldi rarely restocks it during that same week. This creates a kind of treasure hunt atmosphere, which is why many shoppers head straight to the middle aisle as soon as they walk into the store. Pricing scan errors can sometimes mean a free item. One surprising detail that many experienced Aldi shoppers always pay attention to is that pricing scan errors at checkout can sometimes result in a free product. It may sound hard to believe, but this is actually part of the price accuracy policies used by many retail chains, including Aldi. The rule is quite simple. If a product shows one price on the shelf but scans at a higher price at the register, the store must follow its customer protection policy. At many Aldi stores in the United States, if an employee confirms that the shelf price is indeed lower than the scanned price, the product may be refunded or sometimes even given for free, depending on local store policies. Experienced shoppers often follow a very simple but effective habit. They watch the screen while each item is scanned at checkout. This allows them to immediately notice any difference between the shelf price and the price charged at the register. According to many shoppers in U.S. deal hunting communities, these pricing errors are most likely to occur on the first day of a new promotion cycle, especially after Aldi updates price tags in the middle of the week. When staff confirm that the shelf price is lower, the store must correct the price to protect the customer. The key point here isn't trying to hunt for pricing mistakes, but understanding that Aldi has clear policies to ensure price transparency. By simply paying a bit more attention to shelf labels and the checkout screen, shoppers can avoid overpaying and occasionally receive an unexpected benefit. Bring your own bags when shopping. Another thing that surprises many first-time Aldi shoppers is that the store rarely provides free bags. If you forget to bring your own, you'll have to purchase paper bags or reusable bags at the checkout. For newcomers, this may feel like a small inconvenience, but for shoppers who are used to Aldi, bringing your own bags actually becomes a major advantage. In reality, this is part of Aldi's broader cost-cutting strategy. According to many analyses in the retail industry, plastic and paper bags at large U.S. supermarkets can cost tens of thousands of dollars per store each year. By eliminating free bags, Aldi reduces operating expenses and keeps product prices lower. This is also why Aldi became one of the earlier supermarket chains in the U.S. to adopt the bring-your-own-bag model. But experienced shoppers don't just bring any bag. They bring the right kind. Many people carry insulated bags to keep meat, milk, and frozen foods cold during the trip home. Some shoppers even keep small plastic bins in the trunk of their car to hold heavier items such as bottled water, milk, or canned goods. This method makes it much easier to carry everything into the house. Another advantage of bringing your own bags is that you have complete control over how your groceries are packed. At many other supermarkets, employees bag the items for you, but sometimes bread gets squished, eggs end up under heavier products, or cold items are packed together with dry goods. At Aldi, after checkout, customers bag their groceries themselves at a designated packing counter. Many longtime shoppers also say they've been using the same set of reusable bags for years. Not only does this save money over time, but it also significantly reduces the amount of single-use plastic bags being used. Shelf placement often reveals the price. There's a small detail in the way Aldi organizes its shelves that many shoppers overlook, but longtime customers tend to notice quickly. The position of a product on the shelf often hints at its price level. If you only focus on the items placed right at eye level, you might be missing a cheaper option sitting just above or below. In the retail industry, this idea has long been summed up by the familiar phrase, eye level is buy level. In other words, products placed at eye level are usually the ones stores most want shoppers to notice. Many supermarkets even charge major brands a fee to secure these highly visible shelf spots. Aldi doesn't sell shelf placement in the same way, but the store still follows a clear shelving strategy that subtly guides customer choices. Experienced shoppers often recognize a familiar pattern. Mid-range products, those with moderate prices and strong sales, are usually placed at eye level. Meanwhile, the lowest-priced options are often located on the lower shelves, where fewer people naturally look. Many shoppers say that when they take a moment to look down more carefully, they often find a similar product at a noticeably lower price, sometimes simply because the packaging is more basic. By contrast, the top shelves are often where Aldi places its more premium items, such as imported products or items from the store's specially selected line. These products may cost a little more, but they are still often cheaper than comparable premium items at many other supermarkets. Retail experts also point out that this vertical shelf arrangement helps stores guide shopping behavior very effectively. Most shoppers tend to grab the product directly in front of them without scanning the entire shelf. But people who are familiar with shopping at Aldi often develop a different habit. They look at all three shelf levels before making a decision. Customers are part of Aldi's system. There's a surprising truth that many people only realize after shopping at Aldi for a while. Aldi doesn't operate like a traditional supermarket. In this store, customers aren't just buyers, they actually become part of the store's operating model. Think about the familiar things you see at Aldi. You insert a quarter to unlock a shopping cart, you bring your own bags, and after checkout, you bag your own groceries. For many first-time shoppers, this might feel like the store is offering less service. But in reality, this is exactly how Aldi keeps its prices low. According to many retail industry analyses, a traditional U.S. supermarket may carry 30,000 to 40,000 different products, requiring a large staff to manage shelves, collect carts, bag groceries, and assist customers. Aldi, by comparison, typically sells only about 1,300 to 1,500 carefully selected products, allowing stores to operate with fewer employees and significantly lower operating costs. Because of this, many retail experts describe Aldi's model as an unspoken partnership between the store and its customers. Shoppers handle a few small tasks, returning carts, bringing their own bags, or bagging their groceries. In return, Aldi reduces operating expenses and passes those savings directly into lower prices. A report from Business Insider once pointed out that this minimalist approach is one of the main reasons Aldi's prices are often noticeably lower than those at many traditional supermarkets. By eliminating unnecessary costs, such as large marketing budgets, elaborate product displays, and extra services, the store can focus on what matters most, keeping product prices as low as possible. That's also why many loyal Aldi customers often say that when you walk into this store, you're not just shopping. You're participating in a smart system where both the store and the customers work together to keep prices low. After learning these secrets, your trips to Aldi may never feel the same again. You'll know which day to shop, which shelves to check, and which section to visit first so you don't miss the real deals. And sometimes, simply paying a little more attention can help you save far more than you expect. The next time you walk into Aldi, try putting these tips into practice. You might leave the store with a fuller cart but a lower total on your receipt. Which Aldi secret in this video surprised you the most? There are certain cheeses at Aldi that look completely normal, even products many people buy every week without a second thought. Some are disguised as real cheese but are actually filled with fillers and additives. What's surprising is that right next to them are options that could genuinely help you manage your weight and improve digestion. Watch until the end of the video to find out whether you might be accidentally choosing one of the worst options. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. Warning: cheeses you should avoid. 8. Fat-free cheese. Happy Farms. Fat-free cheese may sound like a lifesaver for anyone trying to diet, but in reality, it often works in the opposite direction. When people hear fat-free, they immediately think fewer calories and better weight control. But once fat is removed from cheese, manufacturers have to replace it with something else to maintain texture. That's when the additive list starts to grow: modified starch, cellulose gel, and carrageenan. These ingredients help create stretch and a cheese-like consistency, but they don't provide meaningful nutritional value. The issue goes beyond additives. When natural fat is removed, you also lose the necessary medium for absorbing fat-soluble vitamins such as A, D, E, and especially K2. These nutrients are essential for bone health, cardiovascular function, and immune support. Even if synthetic versions are added back in, absorption is not comparable to the natural form paired with fat. In addition, dietary fat plays a key role in triggering fullness signals in the brain. When you eat fat-free cheese, you may not feel truly satisfied and could end up eating more to compensate. As a result, your total daily calorie intake may actually be higher. 7. Shredded cheese blend. Many shoppers choose Happy Farms shredded cheese blend simply because it's convenient. Open the bag, sprinkle it on pizza or pasta, and you're done. But the cost of that convenience isn't just financial, it's also in the ingredient list. The reason pre-shredded cheese never clumps together in the bag is that it's coated with cellulose, essentially plant fiber powder, often derived from wood pulp or cotton. Legally, it's permitted for use, but in reality, you're paying the price of real cheese for a product that includes added anti-caking fillers. It doesn't stop there. Many varieties also contain natamycin, a mold inhibitor, and potassium sorbate, a preservative. Both are used to extend shelf life. Instead of selling truly fresh cheese, manufacturers rely on additives to maintain a stable appearance. What many people don't realize is that shredded cheese oxidizes faster. Once cheese is cut into smaller pieces, the surface area exposed to air increases, causing flavor to deteriorate more quickly and nutritional quality to decline sooner compared to a whole block of cheese. 6. Friendly Farms Whipped Cream Cheese Spread. Many people choose Friendly Farms Whipped Cream Cheese Spread because it seems lighter and easier to spread on bread, but in reality, it's a volume illusion. To create that airy, fluffy texture, manufacturers inject nitrogen gas into the product. This makes the container look fuller, but the actual density of cheese is significantly lower than traditional block cream cheese. Put simply, you're paying for more volume, and a noticeable portion of that volume is air. The issue doesn't stop there. Once air is incorporated, stabilizers are needed to prevent the foam from collapsing and the product from separating. That's where carrageenan comes in. Carrageenan is a thickening agent derived from seaweed. It's legally approved for food use, but it remains highly controversial in the nutrition community. Some studies and observational reports suggest it may be linked to inflammatory responses in the gut, particularly in individuals with sensitive digestive systems. If this type of cream cheese appears on your breakfast every morning, your digestive system isn't just processing dairy and fat. It's also handling added gums and stabilizers. In contrast, traditional block cream cheese typically contains only a few basic ingredients: milk, cream, salt, and cultures. The core issue here isn't immediate toxicity, but nutrient density and level of processing. On one side, you have real cheese with natural fat and a dense, straightforward structure. On the other, you have a whipped product stabilized with additives to create a lighter feel. 5. Pub cheese spread. It may look elegant when placed next to crackers and wine at a party, but Emporium Selection Pub cheese spread resembles more of a food experiment than a true piece of cheese. Start with the ingredient list. Right after cheese, the next prominent ingredient is water. That means the product has been significantly diluted. Instead of selling properly aged cheddar, the manufacturer adds water to increase volume, then uses thickening agents to recreate a smooth texture. The additive list includes modified food starch, sodium phosphate, and sodium alginate. Modified starch creates thickness. Sodium phosphate acts as an emulsifier to maintain a uniform structure, and sodium alginate helps the product retain its smooth, spreadable consistency. Technically, all of these ingredients are legal, but clearly this is no longer the natural structure of cheese. It doesn't stop there. The product also contains artificial flavor and color without specifying details. That means consumers don't know exactly what type of flavoring they're ingesting. When a food requires added flavor to taste more like cheese, it's often a sign that the base ingredient lacks depth. What's notable is that the calorie count isn't significantly lower than real cheese. Each serving contains roughly the same number of calories, or only slightly fewer, compared to a block of traditional cheddar. 4. Priano Frozen Cheese Ravioli. Don't let the Italian-sounding name of Priano Frozen Cheese Ravioli give you a false sense of reassurance. When you turn the package over and read the ingredient list, what you find doesn't resemble traditional pasta. The filling is advertised as cheese, but if you look closely, water and modified cornstarch appear prominently. That means the filling has been diluted and thickened with industrial starch. Modified starch doesn't offer meaningful nutritional value, yet it can contribute to a faster spike in blood sugar after a meal. They even add sugar to the cheese filling, something that would be considered unacceptable in traditional Italian cooking. Authentic cheese ravioli typically contains fresh ricotta, a bit of parmesan, eggs, and simple seasonings. When sugar is used to fix the flavor, it's often a sign that the base ingredients lack quality. You're getting a serving with 270 calories, but the protein content is unimpressive, while refined carbohydrates make up a significant portion. Compared to eating a modest serving of real cheese or high-quality fresh pasta, this option delivers more empty calories than meaningful nutrition. Like the video if this surprised you. 3. Laughing cow cheese wedges. This is a cheese many people associate with childhood, but from a modern consumer news perspective, it's a highly processed product. Laughing cow cheese wedges look small and convenient and are marketed as a light option. However, a closer look at the ingredient list tells a different story. To achieve that nearly perfect smooth texture, manufacturers use calcium phosphate and sodium citrate, two emulsifiers that help the cheese melt evenly and maintain a uniform structure. Technically, they're approved for use, but this is no longer the natural structure of traditionally aged cheese, where proteins and fats bind together naturally through fermentation. The product is also ultra-pasteurized to increase stability and extend shelf life. While this improves microbial safety, it also reduces the presence of beneficial bacteria naturally found in real cheese. That means you're not getting the probiotic benefits you would from traditionally aged varieties. Many consumer forum reviews mention that one wedge doesn't feel satisfying, leading people to eat 2 or 3, roughly 150 calories. In contrast, 1 ounce of aged cheddar contains about 110 to 120 calories, delivers 6 to 7 grams of protein, and provides a more noticeable sense of fullness. 2. Cheese sauce, bottled or canned. This may be the product furthest removed from the true definition of cheese on this list. Bottled or canned nacho/cheddar cheese sauce. If you read the ingredient label carefully, you'll notice that real cheese plays only a supporting role. The primary ingredients are water and soybean oil, typically a low-cost refined oil high in omega-6 fatty acids. Industrial soybean oil contains a high ratio of omega-6. When consumed in excess relative to omega-3, it may contribute to inflammatory responses in the body. Meanwhile, to create a thick texture, manufacturers use modified cornstarch and other thickening agents. Instead of natural dairy fat, you're essentially consuming a blend of vegetable oil and refined starch. The coloring agents are where controversy intensifies. These products often contain yellow 5 and yellow 6, two synthetic dyes. In the European Union, foods containing these additives must carry a warning label stating they may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. In the US, they are still permitted, but many health organizations recommend limiting them, especially for children who may be sensitive. A 2-tablespoon serving may contain only about 45 calories, which sounds light. However, a typical serving of nachos often includes 6 to 8 tablespoons, totaling 180 to 240 calories, primarily from oil and starch. The protein content is nearly negligible. 1. American cheese singles. This is arguably the most controversial product on the list, to the point that US law doesn't even allow it to be labeled simply as cheese. We're talking about Happy Farm's American cheese singles. Under FDA regulations, if a product does not meet the compositional standards of natural cheese and contains a lower percentage of real cheese than required, manufacturers must label it as pasteurized prepared cheese product. That's not just a wording detail, it's a clear legal classification. When you examine the ingredient list, it's noticeably longer than that of traditional cheese. In addition to milk and whey, you'll find sodium citrate, calcium phosphate, artificial colors, and various emulsifiers. These additives create the uniform square shape, smooth melt, and extended shelf stability. The biggest concern is sodium content. One slice of processed American cheese can contain approximately 300 to 350 milligrams of sodium, while 1 ounce of natural cheddar typically ranges from 170 to 180 milligrams. On an equivalent serving basis, the salt content can be nearly double, even triple, depending on the brand. For children or individuals managing blood pressure, that's not a trivial number. Instead of fearing the word cream, look at the short ingredient list: milk, cream, salt, and cultures. Simple, transparent, and free from complicated additives. This is the real salt bomb, hidden inside what seems like an innocent sandwich. At this point, you might be looking at your refrigerator with some concern. But don't turn away from the cheese aisle just yet. Not everything at Aldi is problematic. Right next to these highly processed products are options that truly deliver value and support better health. And among the next 5 names, there's one that even outperforms many premium-priced brands. Recommended cheeses you should eat. 5. Specially selected triple cream brie. When you hear triple cream and 60% butterfat, your first reaction might be concern about fat content. But in reality, this can be one of the smartest choices. Triple cream. Brie contains more fat than traditional brie because additional cream is incorporated during production. That higher fat content actually plays an important role in triggering satiety signals. When you eat a small serving, about 1 ounce, your body receives enough fat to create a clear sense of satisfaction, rather than sending you back to the pantry for more snacks. The natural fermentation process also means brie contains beneficial bacteria. The cultures involved in aging not only create the signature white rind, but also contribute to supporting a healthy gut microbiome. A balanced digestive system is foundational for weight management and reducing inflammation. Another noteworthy point is its CLA, conjugated linoleic acid content. CLA is a fatty acid naturally found in dairy products, particularly in higher quality cheeses. Several studies suggest CLA may be associated with supporting body fat reduction and improving lipid metabolism. At roughly 110 to 120 calories per ounce, it's comparable to many other cheeses. The difference lies in satiety. Because of its rich fat content and smooth texture, you naturally eat it more slowly and feel satisfied sooner. That's the key advantage: higher fat but better portion control. Instead of being afraid of the word cream, take a closer look at the short ingredient list: milk, cream, salt, and cultures. Simple, transparent, and free from unnecessary additives. 4. Specially selected aged reserve white cheddar. This is an excellent option for those who once thought they had to give up cheese due to lactose intolerance. Aged reserve white cheddar. When cheddar is aged for more than 12 months, the natural bacteria involved in fermentation essentially digest most of the lactose. That means this type of cheese contains very little lactose compared to fresh cheese. Many people who are mildly sensitive to dairy can tolerate aged cheddar without the discomfort they experience from milk or younger cheeses. The aging process also creates tiny crunchy crystals inside the cheese. These are not defects. They're signs of properly aged cheese. The crystals are primarily calcium lactate and crystallized amino acids, indicating that the proteins have partially broken down, making them easier for the body to digest and absorb. Aged cheddar is also rich in vitamin K2, a nutrient that plays a critical role in directing calcium into bones rather than allowing it to accumulate in blood vessels. Combined with calcium and high-quality protein, it supports both bone health and cardiovascular health. In terms of flavor, this cheddar is sharper and more complex than younger varieties. That intensity naturally encourages portion control, as a smaller amount delivers a stronger, more satisfying taste. The aging process doesn't just enhance flavor, it also improves nutritional value. With lower lactose, more easily digestible protein, higher levels of vitamin K2, and better satiety, it's a reliable choice for anyone who wants to enjoy cheese in a smarter way. 3. Goat cheese, Emporium Selection. A choice highly rated by many nutrition experts. Goat cheese from Emporium Selection. For those who often feel bloated after eating cow's milk cheese, this is almost like white gold for the digestive system. The first key difference lies in its protein structure. Goat's milk primarily contains A2 casein, while many conventional cow's milk products contain A1 casein, a protein that some sensitive individuals may react to. A2 casein breaks down more easily during digestion, helping reduce feelings of heaviness or discomfort after meals. In addition, the fat molecules in goat's milk are smaller than those in cow's milk. This allows digestive enzymes to access and process them more efficiently, supporting better absorption. Many people report that they tolerate goat cheese significantly better, even if they've struggled with traditional dairy in the past. Another advantage is its higher content of MCFA, medium-chain fatty acids. MCFAs are metabolized more quickly into energy rather than being stored long-term as body fat. That's one reason goat cheese is often recommended in diets focused on metabolic flexibility. Goat cheese also naturally contains less lactose than many cows' milk cheeses. When combined with fermentation, the remaining lactose is further reduced, making it more suitable for individuals who are sensitive. 2. Grass-fed Irish cheddar Emporium selection. This is another option highly regarded by nutrition professionals for its nutrient density. Grass-fed Irish cheddar from Emporium selection. Not all cheddar is created equal, and the difference begins with how the cows are raised. When cows graze on natural grass instead of industrial grain feed, the fat composition of their milk changes significantly. Grass-fed cheddar typically contains 50 to 100% more omega-3 fatty acids than cheese from grain-fed cows. At the same time, it contains significantly higher levels of CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, a fatty acid that research has linked to supporting fat loss and reducing inflammation. In addition, grass-fed cheddar is rich in vitamin K2, an essential nutrient that helps direct calcium into bones rather than allowing it to accumulate in arterial walls. The ingredient list is simple and transparent, usually just milk, salt, and cultures, with no complicated additives. Each ounce provides about 7 grams of protein and enough natural fat to create lasting satiety. In terms of flavor, Irish grass-fed cheddar tends to be sharper, slightly richer, and more complex than standard cheddar. That depth of flavor naturally supports portion control. A thin slice is enough to elevate a sandwich or salad without needing a large amount. The most important factor is transparency and sourcing. When you know the milk comes from grass-fed cows and the cheese is made using traditional aging methods, you're choosing a product that's not only flavorful but also grounded in clear nutritional value. It's a reminder that not all dairy fats are created equal. The quality of the source ultimately determines the true value. 1. Full-fat Greek yogurt, Happy Farms. Aldi's most reliable choice is full-fat Greek yogurt from Happy Farms. This isn't just a safe option. It's truly the most versatile superfood in the aisle. Each cup provides approximately 20 to 23 grams of protein, equivalent to about 3 to 4 eggs. That level of protein supports muscle maintenance, increases satiety, and helps stabilize metabolism. In weight management research, higher protein diets consistently show better results for reducing body fat while preserving lean muscle mass. The key difference lies in the word full fat. The natural fat in yogurt is not the enemy. On the contrary, it helps the body absorb fat-soluble vitamins such as A and D and supports more effective calcium absorption. Several observational studies have also suggested that moderate consumption of full-fat dairy is not associated with higher cardiovascular risk, contrary to earlier concerns. In addition, plain Greek yogurt contains billions of live active cultures from the fermentation process. These beneficial bacteria help balance the gut microbiome, support immune function, and reduce inflammation. A healthy digestive system is closely linked to weight control and consistent daily energy levels. The combination of high protein and natural fat creates a biological buffer that slows sugar absorption. That means more stable blood sugar levels and a feeling of fullness that can last 4 to 5 hours. With a simple ingredient list and clearly defined nutritional value, this is one of the most flexible and scientifically supported choices available. Don't let attractive packaging or convenience steer you toward highly processed cheese products. At Aldi, there are still cheeses truly worth your money if you know how to read labels and understand ingredients. Every slice you place in your cart affects not only your taste preferences but also your long-term digestion and metabolism. Choose real cheese. Your body will feel the difference. Which type of cheese currently in your fridge surprised you the most? In just 1 week, the shelves at Aldi have changed more than you might expect. Several completely new products have just appeared, and experienced shoppers have already grabbed a few before they have a chance to become hard to find. This list is especially interesting for older shoppers who want to enjoy good food while still keeping their grocery budget under control. Watch until the end, and you'll understand why so many people are quietly filling their carts with these new arrivals. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Specially selected aged Gouda cheese. If you enjoy cheeses with a richer, deeper flavor, The new item that just appeared in Aldi's specialty cheese section this week is definitely worth trying. The specially selected aged Gouda is currently selling for about $3.99 for an 8-ounce wedge, while similarly aged Gouda at many supermarkets typically costs between $8 and $12. That means you're paying less than half the usual price for a premium cheese. What makes aged Gouda special is the aging process, which typically lasts at least 12 months. During that time, small crunchy protein crystals begin to form inside the cheese. Cheese lovers often see these crystals as a sign that the cheese has been aged properly. The flavor becomes deeper as well, slightly creamy, slightly sweet, with a gentle caramel-like note that younger Gouda simply doesn't have. One cheese enthusiast in the Aldi shopping community once shared that they normally had to buy aged Gouda from specialty cheese shops for close to $18 per pound. But when they tried Aldi's version, they were surprised to find the flavor very similar while the price was nearly half as much. After the first taste, they went back and picked up a few extra wedges to keep at home. This cheese is also very versatile for everyday meals. You can slice it thinly and serve it with crackers, add it to salads, or grate it over hot pasta to bring extra richness and flavor. Even a small amount can make an entire dish more satisfying. However, there's one important detail to remember. This is an Aldi find, which means it's only available for a limited time. Once the current batch sells out, it may disappear from the shelves for weeks or even months. So if you spot it during your Aldi trip this week, you might want to grab 2 or 3 wedges to enjoy before it's gone. 2. Specially selected Argentine red shrimp. This is the moment you may want to take a closer look at Aldi's frozen seafood section, because a new item that appeared this week could easily catch your attention. Specially selected. Argentine red shrimp is currently selling for about $7.99 for a 12-ounce bag, while wild-caught shrimp of similar quality at many supermarkets often costs $14 to $15. The price alone has already convinced many longtime Aldi shoppers to pick up more than one bag to keep in the freezer. These shrimp are wild-caught in the cold waters off the coast of Argentina, then frozen right on the boat to preserve their freshness. Because of this process, the shrimp usually have a firmer texture and a naturally sweeter flavor compared with many farm-raised varieties. One home cook in the Aldi shopping community shared that they usually buy wild-caught shrimp at specialty grocery stores for nearly $18 per pound. After trying Aldi's version, they said the sweetness and firmness were very similar, which led them to stock up on a few extra bags for the freezer. Another reason many people like this shrimp is how easy it is to cook. You can quickly sauté it with butter and garlic, add it to pasta, or use it to make seafood tacos for a fast but satisfying meal. For many older shoppers who want something light but still rich in protein, shrimp can also be a very practical option. And like many special items at Aldi, Argentine red shrimp is also an Aldi find. With a price and quality like this, it can sell out quickly, and there's no guarantee it will return soon. If you see it during your Aldi trip this week, it may be a good idea to pick up a couple of bags for your freezer. 3. Park Street Deli Tzatziki sauce. Another new product appearing in Aldi's refrigerated section this week has caught the attention of many shoppers. Park Street Deli Tzatziki sauce. This classic Greek-style sauce is made with yogurt, cucumber, garlic, and dill, and is commonly used in Mediterranean dishes. At Aldi, the 12-ounce container costs about $2.99, while similar tzatziki sauces at many other supermarkets usually sell for $5.99 to $6.99 for the same size. One thing that stands out is its simple ingredient list, featuring familiar items like Greek yogurt, cucumber, garlic, olive oil, and lemon juice instead of a long list of hard-to-pronounce additives. Because of that, the flavor comes surprisingly close to homemade tzatziki. Creamy from the yogurt, garlicky, and fresh from the cucumber. A shopper in the Aldi fans community once shared that, after trying Aldi's version, they felt the thickness and flavor were almost the same as homemade tzatziki. Another appealing detail is how versatile this sauce can be in everyday meals. You can use it as a dip for vegetables or pita chips, spread it on sandwiches, serve it with grilled meats, or add it to Mediterranean-style grain bowls. With a price under $3 and a fresh, balanced flavor, this is the kind of product many shoppers like to keep stocked in their refrigerator. And after trying it once, many people realize that sometimes a simple sauce can make a familiar meal feel completely new again. 4. Simply Nature Organic Granola Bars. In the snack aisle this week, Aldi has added an interesting option for anyone who wants something quick, convenient, and still relatively healthy. Simply Nature Organic Granola Bars. Each box contains 10 bars for about $3.99, while similar organic granola bars at many supermarkets usually cost between $5.99 and $7.99. That means simply switching to Aldi could save you around 30 to 50% on a snack many households buy regularly. Instead of corn syrup or artificial flavorings, the ingredient list includes familiar items like organic oats, peanut butter, honey, and organic brown rice. When you eat one, the bar has a soft texture with a slight chew and a naturally mild sweetness, rather than the candy-like taste that some packaged snack bars have. One parent in the Aldi shopping community shared that their family used to buy organic granola bars at Target for nearly $7 per box, and their kids could easily finish 2 boxes every week. After switching to Aldi's Simply Nature version, they calculated that they were saving over $300 a year on snacks alone. Granola bars are also incredibly convenient in everyday life. You can keep a few in your bag when heading out, store some in the car for a quick bite when you get hungry, or pair one with your morning coffee when you don't have time for a full breakfast. For older adults who prefer a light snack between meals without feeling too full, this can also be a very practical option. 5. Specially Selected Triple Cream Brie. If you enjoy cheeses that are soft, rich, and a little more indulgent, the new item appearing in Aldi's specialty cheese section this week might be an easy choice for you. The Specially Selected Triple Cream Brie is currently selling for about $4.99 for an 8-ounce wheel, while similar brie cheeses at many supermarkets usually range from $9 to $12. What makes Triple Cream Brie different is its higher fat content compared with regular brie. Because of that, when the cheese is brought to room temperature, the interior becomes incredibly soft, smooth, and almost melts gently over crackers or bread. The flavor is rich and buttery, with a subtle earthy aroma from the white rind, very similar to the kinds of cheeses you might find at specialty cheese shops. This cheese is also easy to use in many simple meals. You can let it soften at room temperature and serve it with crackers, fruit, or honey, or warm it in the oven for a few minutes until the center becomes creamy, and then top it with nuts or jam. Even a small wheel can instantly make a snack plate feel much more special. And like many specialty items that appear at Aldi from time to time, cheeses like this usually don't stay on the shelves for very long. Like the video if this surprised you. 6. Elevation Dark Chocolate-Covered Almonds. There's a type of snack that many people buy again and again without thinking twice: dark chocolate-covered almonds. And this week, Aldi has added a noteworthy option to the snack aisle: Elevation Dark Chocolate-Covered Almonds. A large 24-ounce container costs just $5.99, while similar products at many supermarkets typically range from $10 to $12 for the same size. That's nearly half the price for a very popular snack. One reason people enjoy this product is its pleasant balance of flavors. The dark chocolate has a slightly bitter note and isn't overly sweet like milk chocolate. When paired with the crunchy roasted almonds inside, it creates a snack that feels satisfying without being overwhelming. The chocolate coating is thick enough for you to taste the cocoa clearly, but not so heavy that it overpowers the almonds. One regular shopper in the Aldi community shared that they used to buy a similar snack at Trader Joe's for nearly $11 per container. But after trying Aldi's version, they felt the quality was nearly the same. Since then, they've switched to buying this one for their everyday snacks. Besides being easy to enjoy, dark chocolate-covered almonds also have a small advantage nutritionally. Each serving provides protein from the almonds and healthy fats, which can help you feel fuller longer compared with many sugary snacks. That's why many people like to keep a container in the kitchen for an afternoon snack or bring some along on longer trips. 7. Fremont Fish Market Frozen Mahi. If you've ever wanted to eat fish more often but worry about strong seafood flavors or high prices, the new item appearing in Aldi's freezer section this week may be worth a closer look. Fremont Fish Market's mahi is currently selling for about $8.99 for a bag of 4 fillets, with each piece individually vacuum sealed. At many seafood counters, mahi typically sells for $13 to $17 per pound. So this price has convinced many shoppers to give it a try. One reason mahi is so popular is its mild flavor and firm texture. It doesn't have the strong, fishy smell that some ocean fish do. When pan-seared or grilled, the fillets hold their thickness and structure very well, which makes them perfect for dishes like fish tacos, garlic lemon grilled fish, or simple pan-seared fillets served with vegetables. Some people hesitate to buy frozen fish because they worry it won't taste fresh. But many shoppers say this mahi can be surprisingly close in texture and flavor to fresh fish purchased at seafood counters, often at a much higher price. For anyone trying to eat a little lighter, mahi is also a practical option. It's rich in protein and omega-3s, yet its mild taste makes it approachable, even for people who don't usually eat much seafood. 8. Simply Nature Organic Marinara Sauce. Sometimes having a good jar of sauce in your pantry is all it takes to make dinner much easier. And this week, Aldi has added a noteworthy option to its shelves: Simply Nature Organic Marinara Sauce. Each 25-ounce jar costs about $2.49, while many organic marinara sauces at supermarkets typically range from $5 to $7 for a similar size. That means you're paying less than half the usual price for a sauce made with solid ingredients. What surprises many shoppers is the very short ingredient list. This sauce contains only organic tomatoes, organic olive oil, onion, garlic, and basil. There's no corn syrup or complicated flavor additives. When cooked with pasta, the tomato flavor is rich, slightly naturally sweet, and complemented by a gentle garlic aroma, making it taste closer to a homemade sauce than a typical jarred product. One person who regularly meal preps for the week shared that they use about 2 jars of marinara each week for dishes like pasta and lasagna. Previously, they bought organic marinara at the supermarket for nearly $6.99 per jar. But after switching to Aldi's version, they estimated they could save more than $400 a year just on pasta sauce. It's also an incredibly versatile ingredient in the kitchen. You can use it for spaghetti, lasagna, pizza, chicken parmesan, or simply warm it up as a dipping sauce for toasted bread. According to feedback from many Aldi shoppers, most people like to keep a few jars of marinara stocked in the pantry at all times. 9. Simply Nature Organic Chicken Sausage. If you're looking for a quick and easy protein option for breakfast or a light dinner, Aldi has introduced a new item this week: Simply Nature Organic Chicken Sausage. Each package includes 4 sausages for about $4.99, while organic chicken sausage at many supermarkets typically costs between $7 and $9 for a similar pack. That price alone has already caught the attention of many regular Aldi shoppers. With quality ingredients and a variety of flavors, this sausage is worth trying in this new release. Aldi offers options such as apple maple, spinach feta, and sun-dried tomato, allowing you to switch things up from meal to meal. When grilled or pan-seared, the outside develops a light golden crust while the inside stays tender, with the natural sweetness of the chicken coming through. One shopper in the Aldi fans community once shared that they used to buy organic chicken sausage at Whole Foods for nearly $8 per pack, and their family went through about 3 packs each week for breakfast. After switching to Aldi's version, they estimated they could save over $200 a year just by changing this one product. Besides being a relatively lean source of protein, chicken sausage also tends to feel lighter than traditional pork sausage. Many older adults enjoy it as a quick breakfast option. Just a few minutes of cooking can turn it into a satisfying meal. And when an organic product appears on Aldi's shelves at such an accessible price, it's no surprise that many shoppers quickly add it to their grocery list for the week ahead. 10. Elevation Organic Trail Mix. Continuing with another new item in the snack aisle this week, there's a container that has been catching quite a few shoppers' attention because it already looks different from typical trail mix at first glance. Elevation Organic Trail Mix comes in a large 26-ounce container priced at about $6.99, while organic trail mixes of the same size at many supermarkets usually range from $12 to $15. The nut ratio is surprisingly generous. Instead of being mostly peanuts and raisins like many common snack mixes, this one includes cashews, almonds, walnuts, pecans, dried cranberries, and pieces of dark chocolate. Every handful tends to contain a good mix of ingredients, so the flavor feels varied and satisfying rather than repetitive. One person who often brings trail mix on long hiking trips shared that after trying Aldi's version, they found the nut quality and freshness nearly comparable to more expensive brands, while their monthly snack spending dropped by almost half. Trail mix is also a popular snack because it provides protein, healthy fats, and fiber, meaning even a small handful can keep you feeling full for quite a while. Many people like to keep a container in the kitchen, take some along on long drives, or portion it into smaller bags for quick snacks throughout the day. 11. Love and Fresh Keto Bread. For several years, this has been one of the products Aldi shoppers talk about quite often. Keto bread that actually tastes like real bread but doesn't cost a fortune. And this week, Love and Fresh Keto Bread has finally appeared on the shelves at about $3.99 per loaf. If you've ever looked for keto bread at other supermarkets, you probably know that similar products usually cost between $7 and $10 per loaf. One reason this bread gets so much attention is its extremely low carbohydrate content. Each slice contains almost no net carbs, thanks to ingredients like wheat protein, isolate, and oat fiber. This allows people following keto, low-carb, or blood sugar-conscious diets to enjoy sandwiches without worrying too much about carbohydrate intake. But low carbs and a low price wouldn't matter much if the bread didn't taste good. Some shoppers have tried toasting slices with butter and shared that the texture feels very similar to regular wheat bread, just slightly denser. More importantly, it doesn't have the dry or crumbly texture that many keto breads tend to have. One older shopper in the Aldi community once said they used to order keto bread online for nearly $10 per loaf plus shipping, just to manage their sugar intake. When Aldi started selling this loaf for $3.99, they calculated that they could save over $300 a year on bread alone. 12. Friendly Farms Protein Shakes. If you stopped by the refrigerated drink section at Aldi this week, you may have noticed a new product that's quite convenient for busy days. Friendly Farms Protein Shakes. Each pack includes 4 11-ounce bottles for about $4.99. While many protein shakes at supermarkets or nutrition stores usually cost between $7 and $9 for the same quantity. The nutrition profile is also quite solid for a ready-to-drink option. Each bottle provides about 30 grams of protein, only 1 gram of sugar, and roughly 160 calories. For people who need a quick protein boost during the day, especially older adults looking to maintain muscle mass, this can be a practical choice. Flavor is another factor many people care about when it comes to protein shakes. Some shoppers who tried the chocolate flavor shared that the texture is smooth and slightly creamy, without the powdery or chalky aftertaste that often comes with many pre-mixed protein drinks. You can drink it cold straight from the bottle or blend it with ice and fruit to make a quick smoothie. For anyone looking for a fast, convenient, and reasonably priced protein option, this product could easily become a regular item in the fridge. Just open the bottle, and it's ready to go. A simple solution for a rushed breakfast, after a workout, or anytime you need a quick but satisfying snack. 13. Specially Selected Tiramisu. This week, in Aldi's dessert section, there's a sweet treat that has been making quite a few shoppers pause in front of the refrigerated case. Specially Selected Tiramisu. The 17.6-ounce package costs only $4.99, while similar tiramisu desserts at supermarkets usually sell for $8 to $10, and bakery versions can easily reach $13 to $16. So when an Italian-style dessert appears at this price, it's no surprise that many shoppers are curious to give it a try. The appeal of tiramisu comes from its classic layered structure. At the bottom are ladyfinger biscuits soaked in espresso, topped with a smooth mascarpone cream layer, and finished with a light dusting of bitter cocoa powder. When you take a bite, the slightly bold coffee flavor blends with the rich cream, creating a balanced dessert that isn't overly sweet but still feels indulgent. Many customers who have tried Aldi's version say that the texture and flavor come surprisingly close to bakery-style tiramisu, which is why some now keep a box in the fridge for when they want a quick dessert. It's also easy to turn this cake into a more elegant dessert when serving guests. You can cut it into smaller portions, add a few fresh strawberry slices, or sprinkle a little extra cocoa powder on top, and it instantly feels like a restaurant-style dessert. In just 1 week, Aldi has added quite a few new products worth trying, with solid quality and prices that are often much lower than what you'd find at other supermarkets. Some of these items appear only for a limited time, which means they can sell out quickly. So if you stop by Aldi this week, you might want to take a closer look, because a few items on this list could easily end up filling your cart before you even realize it. Which new item will you be hunting for on your Aldi trip this week? Over the years, Aldi has been forced to pull a wide range of food products from its shelves, not because they were slow sellers, but because they were no longer safe to eat. And today, we're going to look back at the biggest food recalls in Aldi's history, including some items that were once considered among the safest. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. 1. Turkey sausage. Turkey sausage is often seen as a safe choice. Lower in fat, easy to eat, and convenient for quick meals. That sense of familiarity is exactly what makes people consume it without much caution. But in 2024, more than 130,000 pounds of turkey sausage were recalled after bone fragments were discovered in ground and processed products. What made this incident especially concerning was not just a single error, but the scale of the problem. Once reports of mouth injuries began to surface, regulators classified it as a genuine safety risk. Aldi immediately pulled all affected sausage batches from shelves across thousands of stores in multiple states and urged customers to stop using the product right away, even if it had already been cooked or frozen. The cause may sound simple, but it is deeply troubling. Industrial slaughter and meat separation processes. At large scale, machines are used to separate meat from bone. A small malfunction is enough for bone to be crushed and mixed directly into ground meat. Once the product is stuffed, cooked, and packaged, the bone fragments disappear from sight, but not from the food itself. Consumers have no way to detect the danger until they bite into it. The most dangerous part is the repetition of habit. Sausage is bought frequently, eaten often, and rarely chewed slowly or carefully examined. That routine masks the risk. Not everyone is lucky enough to just bite into something hard. For children or older adults, the consequences can be far more serious. 2. Cheese. In 2023, multiple sliced cheese products were recalled after consumers noticed something shocking. Thin strips of plastic film still clinging to the cheese, even after the outer packaging had been removed. What this exposed was a manufacturing failure at the packaging stage. During the process of wrapping individual cheese slices, machinery malfunctioned and failed to fully separate the plastic film, leaving behind nearly invisible strands. When the cheese was pressed thin and tightly packed, the plastic blended into the surface, making it extremely difficult to detect with the naked eye. The real danger lies in fast eating habits. Sliced cheese is often given to children or older adults or eaten quickly during rushed breakfasts. Accidentally swallowing plastic can cause choking, throat injuries, or unpredictable digestive risks. Reports of consumers choking forced the manufacturer to acknowledge the defect, after which Aldi issued a widespread recall. 3. Marinated pork. Pre-marinated pork trays are designed to feel effortless, the kind of product you can simply take home and cook. The dark sauce, strong seasoning that masks the smell of raw meat, and packaging clearly labeled "ready to cook" leave very few people questioning what's underneath. But in 2023, thousands of pounds of marinated pork were pulled from Aldi shelves nationwide for an unacceptable reason. The products had entered the market without undergoing mandatory safety inspection. The issue was not that contamination had already caused illness, but that there was a serious breakdown in food safety oversight. These products crossed borders, were packaged, distributed, and sold without official inspection approval. Consumers purchased them without any real protection in place. What makes this especially concerning is how the product was effectively camouflaged. The thick marinade hides the true color of the meat, and the strong spices make unusual odors harder to detect. With pre-seasoned foods, shoppers lose the ability to judge quality using their senses and are forced to rely entirely on the label. The 2023 recall exposed a harsh reality. Not every product on the shelf has been controlled as tightly as consumers assume. If even one link in the chain is skipped, uninspected food can still end up in your cart. 4. Baker's Corner flour. Flour feels like one of the most harmless ingredients in the kitchen. That familiarity is exactly why few people consider flour a potential source of dangerous bacteria. But in 2019, a safety investigation forced Aldi to recall Baker's Corner flour after it tested positive for E. coli. What shocked many people is that flour is not a ready-to-eat product. It is milled directly from raw wheat, and if the early processing stages are contaminated by animal waste or dirty water, bacteria can survive through milling, packaging, and transportation. Unlike meat or eggs, which are commonly viewed as risky, flour is rarely treated as a biological hazard. Once test results were released, Aldi immediately pulled the affected Baker's Corner flour batches from shelves and issued a do-not-use notice, even for opened bags. The concern was heightened by the fact that flour is often stored for long periods and sits in kitchen cabinets for months. By the time the recall was announced, many packages had already been partially used without consumers realizing the risk. 5. Frozen peas. Frozen peas are often seen as a default safe food, washed, prepped, and ready to cook. That sense of safety caused many people to overlook a chilling incident in 2017, when frozen peas were recalled due to Listeria contamination, a bacterium that is rare but has the highest fatality rate among foodborne illnesses. What makes Listeria especially frightening is that it survives freezing. Contrary to common belief, freezing does not kill this bacterium. If vegetables are contaminated during harvesting, washing, or packaging, Listeria can remain dormant throughout the product's entire shelf life. Listeria is particularly dangerous for pregnant women, infants, older adults, and people with weakened immune systems. Infection can lead to miscarriage, sepsis, and meningitis, outcomes no one would expect from a bag of frozen vegetables that seems harmless. After test results were confirmed, Aldi was forced to remove all affected frozen pea batches from shelves in multiple states, even though no illnesses had been directly linked to the product at the time. Customers were instructed not to consume the peas, not to cook them just to finish the bag, but to discard them or return them for a refund. 6. Fresh-cut fruit and whole fresh fruit. Few people realize that during 2023 to 2024, the very foods seen as the healthiest were repeatedly involved in large-scale recalls. Cantaloupe, peaches, plums, and nectarines, including both whole fruit and pre-cut fruit. Products commonly associated with clean eating and healthy living were instead linked to Salmonella and Listeria outbreaks, leading to hospitalizations and even deaths. The core risk lies on the surface of the fruit. Peaches, plums, and nectarines have natural crevices that are extremely difficult to clean thoroughly. When contamination occurs in the field, through wash water or during packaging, bacteria can cling to the outer skin. With a single cut of a knife, those pathogens are dragged straight into the flesh, the part consumers assume is clean. In response, Aldi immediately locked the affected product codes in its retail system. At the same time, fruit trays and fresh fruit batches were removed from shelves in impacted areas, along with notices instructing customers to stop using them. Unsold batches were not held or redirected, but completely removed from the supply chain. 7. Contaminated pineapple. Few people think about the fact that pineapple is one of the fruits least likely to be thoroughly washed before cutting. Not out of carelessness, but because many assume washing would not truly make a difference. That mindset helped turn pineapple into the focus of multiple Listeria-related recalls in 2023. Unlike many other fruits, pineapple is almost always eaten raw. It is not cooked, reheated, or heat-treated in any way that could correct a mistake. Once pineapple becomes contaminated during harvesting or packaging, the risk goes straight into the body with no safety buffer. During these recalls, Aldi removed all pineapples and related pineapple products from shelves in affected areas, instructed customers not to consume them, and issued full refunds even for opened products. Remaining batches were destroyed rather than redistributed. 8. Beef mixed with horse meat. Few would expect that one of Europe's most serious food scandals did not originate from bacteria or a production accident, but from deliberate fraud within the supply chain. In 2013, independent testing across multiple EU countries uncovered an unacceptable truth. Beef sold to consumers was adulterated and, in some cases, consisted entirely of horse meat. The scandal spread rapidly, forcing Aldi and many other retailers to issue widespread recalls across the European Union. The severity of the incident was not about immediate biological risk, but about a collapse of trust. Horsemeat was not labeled. Consumers were deceived about what they were buying, what they were paying for, and the ethical standards behind the system. Investigations revealed a tangled network of intermediaries, from slaughterhouses to processors across multiple countries where records were falsified and origins deliberately concealed to inflate profits. The consequences were criminal prosecutions. Authorities made arrests and brought cases against individuals and companies involved. Hundreds of tons of products were destroyed, and traceability standards were tightened across the EU. Consumers are not just buying meat, they are buying honesty. When that honesty is replaced with deception, the damage goes far beyond store shelves, triggering a crisis of trust, legal fallout, and lasting reputational harm across the entire European food industry. Like the video if this surprised you. 9. Frozen breaded chicken. A major recall took place in 2019 when hundreds of thousands of pounds of frozen breaded chicken were pulled by Aldi after consumers bit into metal fragments, causing mouth injuries and prompting regulators to classify the incident as a high-risk hazard. What makes this especially alarming is that the metal did not come from outside contamination, but entered during the manufacturing process itself. In high-speed industrial production lines, machines cut, grind, bread, and partially cook chicken continuously. If even a single component wears down or fractures, small metal fragments can fall directly into the food and pass through multiple layers of inspection without being detected. Once the source of the problem was traced back to the supplier, Aldi immediately issued recall notices across dozens of states, instructing customers to stop using the product even if it had already been cooked or was still frozen, and offering refunds with no receipt required. Breaded chicken is a convenience food. The crispy coating completely conceals foreign objects inside, giving consumers no warning before biting into them. For children, the risk of choking, cuts, or serious injury is even higher. 10. Onions. In 2020, millions of onions were suddenly deemed unsafe to eat. Not just one type, but all of them: red, white, yellow, and sweet onions. An ingredient used almost daily in home cooking became the source of a widespread Salmonella outbreak, sickening more than 1,000 people and sending hundreds to the hospital. What made the situation frightening was the complete lack of warning signs. There was no unusual smell, no visible spoilage, and no discoloration. Onions that looked perfectly normal became the central link in a multi-state contamination event. By the time authorities traced the source back to a major supplier, most of the onions had already been consumed or were sitting in household kitchens, making timely warnings nearly impossible. Faced with the unprecedented scale of the outbreak, Aldi was forced to remove all affected onions from shelves in multiple states, regardless of color or variety. The retailer issued clear instructions not to use them in any form, even if they were still fresh and uncut, and asked customers to discard or return them for a refund. The recall occurred alongside similar actions by other major chains, underscoring the severity of the incident. 11. Frozen sandwiches. Few people would expect a frozen sandwich to contain hard plastic inside. Yet in 2019, tens of thousands of pounds of frozen sandwiches were recalled after consumers discovered semi-transparent plastic pieces embedded directly in the filling. There was no strange smell or unusual taste, just the shock of biting into something hard. The concern was not only the presence of a foreign object, but also how securely it was trapped within the sandwich structure. The filling was pressed and sealed in place, allowing thin plastic fragments to remain hidden and provide no visible warning before consumption. Consumers only realized something was wrong after biting into a hard object. Once complaints were confirmed, Aldi immediately removed all affected sandwich batches from shelves across multiple states and issued a warning to stop using them right away. Customers were instructed to return or discard the products, as this was a direct physical hazard that could not be resolved by reheating or manual inspection. 12. Ground beef. Ground beef is one of the most trusted staples in the kitchen, used for burgers, pasta sauce, tacos, and meatballs. Because it is so familiar, many people forget a critical fact. Ground beef is one of the highest risk meats when contamination occurs. In 2018, hundreds of thousands of pounds of ground beef were recalled after being linked to E. coli, with illnesses reported across multiple states and at least one death. The danger is not visible on the surface. When meat is ground, any bacteria on the outside of the cut is mixed throughout the entire batch. Consumers have no warning signs. The color remains red, the smell seems normal, and the texture does not change. The risk increases with common cooking habits. Rare burgers, quick pan searing, or tasting meat during preparation can all allow E. coli to survive. The long incubation period makes it difficult for people to connect symptoms to a previous meal, delaying response and allowing outbreaks to spread further. 13. Deli meats. Coppa deli meat is often viewed as a premium and safe option, thinly sliced, ready to eat, and requiring no cooking. But in 2024, that trust was broken when Forelli Beretta USA was forced to recall salmonella-contaminated coppa, including products sold at Aldi under the Appleton Farms label. Because coppa is cured, dried, and processed, consumers tend to believe bacteria no longer pose a risk. In reality, Salmonella can still be introduced during processing or packaging. Since coppa is eaten straight from the package, there is no cooking step to protect the consumer. According to health investigations, the outbreak sickened more than 100 people across multiple states, with dozens requiring hospitalization. What made the situation worse was coppa's long shelf life. By the time the recall was announced, many packages were still being consumed without users realizing the danger. With charcuterie products, even a small lapse in production conditions can turn a convenient food into a serious health risk. This incident serves as a blunt warning against blind trust in ready-to-eat foods marketed as premium. 14. Packaged salads. Packaged salads are widely seen as a symbol of healthy eating. Open the bag and eat. No cooking required, no concerns about raw meat. That is why the repeated recalls between 2021 and 2022 were truly shocking. It was not a single isolated issue, but repeated Listeria contamination across the same product category, from major brands like Dole to private labels such as Little Salad Bar. The risk lies in the nature of packaged salads themselves. The greens are washed, cut, mixed, and sealed, creating a cold, moist environment where bacteria can survive without altering smell or appearance. Consumers receive no warning signs before eating. Once contamination was confirmed, Aldi was forced to pull multiple packaged salad lines from shelves across dozens of states and issue advisories not to consume them. Some recalls were expanded after products had already been sold, highlighting just how difficult ready-to-eat foods are to control once they reach the market. 15. Moser Roth chocolate. Moser Roth chocolate is often viewed as a premium-for-the-price option, with thick wrapping, a rich flavor, and an overall sense of polish and safety compared to mass-market candy. But in 2023, that image collapsed when the product was recalled due to hard plastic fragments caused not by storage issues, but by a manufacturing defect. What made the situation especially concerning was that the plastic was not visible. Small fragments were pressed tightly into the chocolate during molding and cooling, making them nearly impossible to detect with the naked eye. Chocolate is eaten directly and melts in the mouth, leaving consumers with no opportunity to inspect it beforehand. When the problem is discovered, it is usually at the moment of biting into something hard, too late to avoid injury. The more convenient and heavily processed a food is, the less control consumers have over its safety. Start building better habits. Read recall notices carefully, limit how often you eat ready-to-eat foods without further cooking, stay cautious with pre-prepared items, and don't let familiarity or attractive packaging make safety decisions for your family meals. Food recalls are neither rare nor unusual. They are the hidden side of a system driven by speed and volume. Once you understand that, your choices become more deliberate, and your meals are no longer decided by convenience alone. Which recalled product in the video surprised you the most? Most people think Aldi's bakery section is simply a place to grab cheap bread, convenient, affordable, and good enough to get you through a meal. But that's only the surface. Behind that compact bakery area is a carefully designed system of sales strategy, product placement, and rapid rotation that, if you don't pay attention, can lead you to buy the wrong item, buy at the wrong time, or miss some of the best baked goods Aldi has ever sold. There are baked items that aren't even located in the bakery section. Products that disappear permanently after just a few weeks, specific windows when the bread is noticeably better that very few people know about. and items that look completely ordinary but are actually made by some of the largest bakery producers in the United States. These are 12 secrets about Aldi's bakery. You'll wish you knew sooner, so that every grocery trip isn't just about buying cheap, but about buying right and not regretting it when you come back and your favorite item is gone. You'd be awesome if you liked this video. One where Aldi's bakery products really come from. When shoppers look at Aldi's bakery section, many assume it's all private label, mass-produced, low-cost bread. But if you trace the supply chain backward, the reality looks very different. A large portion of Aldi's private label bread bagels and sandwich loaves aren't made in anonymous bakeries. They are directly linked to Bimbo Bakeries USA, the largest bakery company in the country. Bimbo is the producer behind well-known brands like Thomas's Sara Lee and Entenmann's names many American households buy week after week. Aldi using the same production network doesn't mean their bread is identical to national brands, but it does indicate that the industrial standards, processes, and production capacity are well established and proven. Aldi doesn't need to build its own bakeries. Instead, it places custom orders, trims, marketing, packaging, and middlemen, and uses that efficiency to push prices down. What's notable is that Aldi doesn't actively promote this connection. Most shoppers only discover it during product recalls when manufacturers are legally required to disclose it. From a consumer news perspective, this detail matters. Aldi's bread is cheaper, not because the quality is low, but because the system is optimized and backed by strong negotiating power. When you buy Aldi's private label bread, you're paying for the product itself, not for brand prestige advertising or premium shelf placement. 2. Exclusive bakery items and the risk of sudden discontinuation. One detail many shoppers overlook is that Aldi's entire bakery section operates almost entirely on an exclusive model. The loaves, bagels, and pastries you see aren't designed for broad national distribution. They're made specifically for Aldi, tied to its private label strategy, and exist only as long as Aldi chooses to carry them. That sounds harmless until you run into a familiar situation. You try a bakery item, really like it, come back the next week to buy more, and it's gone. Not temporarily out of stock, permanently discontinued. At Aldi, underperforming sales, rising logistics costs, or simply making room for a new product can all trigger a bakery item being pulled without warning. The risk here isn't quality, it's the extremely short product life cycle. Aldi doesn't keep items around just because they sell well enough. The focus is on fast rotation testing, customer response, and making decisive cuts. This helps Aldi keep prices low and shelves lean. But for shoppers, it creates a clear reality: the bread you love today may be the last time you ever see it. 3. Aldi's bakery markdown strategy before expiration. One of the most effective ways to genuinely save money in Aldi's bakery isn't found in the regular shelf price, but in how the store handles bread that's approaching its expiration date. Aldi doesn't advertise these discounts loudly or hang large signs, but if you pay close attention, you'll often spot bakery items suddenly marked down by 50% simply because they're a few days from their sell-by date. The challenge is that there's no fixed markdown schedule. Some stores reduce prices 4 to 5 days ahead, others only 1 or 2 days before expiration. Aldi gives individual stores flexibility based on sales pace and inventory levels. That means if you shop at Aldi regularly and take the time to observe, you'll quickly start to read the rhythm of your local store. Once you understand the pattern, buying good bread at half price becomes routine. Of course, this strategy comes with risk. Waiting for a markdown means the item may sell out before you return. Aldi doesn't hold inventory for anyone, and popular bakery items disappear fast. Some shoppers even ask staff whether a certain bread nearing expiration might be discounted early. It doesn't always work, but sometimes asking at the right moment makes a difference. What matters is understanding the intent. Aldi discounts to clear shelves, not to push extra sales. For alert shoppers, this is a chance to buy at true value. As long as you check expiration dates and choose items you can eat right away or freeze, you can enjoy good bread while cutting costs significantly without sacrificing quality. 4. Aldi's best bakery items are often out of place. One very common mistake when shopping at Aldi is assuming that all the best baked goods are neatly grouped in the bakery section. In reality, many of the most frequently repurchased bakery items are deliberately placed elsewhere, scattered across different aisles from the breakfast section and seasonal end caps to shelves near the freezer area or secondary walkways. If you only scan the bake shop and skip the rest of the store, there's a good chance you've walked right past some of Aldi's best value baked goods without realizing it. This isn't a display error, it's intentional. Aldi optimizes both floor space and shopper flow. Breakfast breads sit near cereal. Sliced brioche or seasonal packaged pastries are moved to eye-catching end caps. Certain specialty loaves are placed next to brunch items to encourage pairing. This layout pushes shoppers to explore actively rather than shop on autopilot. The result is two very different types of customers. Those who follow the same path every time often conclude that Aldi doesn't have great bakery items. Those who pay attention to placement, on the other hand, consistently pick up standout products they wouldn't normally associate with the bakery. The difference in experience comes from seeing the store as a system, not as isolated sections. Like the video if this surprised you. 5. The best time to buy bread: Wednesday morning. If there's one small habit change that makes a real difference when shopping at Aldi, it's choosing the right day and time. For the bakery section, Wednesday morning is almost a golden window that many shoppers completely miss. This isn't random, it's when Aldi resets its shelves across the store. Wednesday marks the start of Aldi's new sales cycle. Fresh bread is restocked. Many items have just come out of the oven or arrived from delivery, while products from the previous week begin approaching their sell-by dates, meaning you'll see both the freshest bread and items that are about to be discounted at the same time. Going early on Wednesday morning gives you the clearest snapshot of the bakery, what's newly restocked, and what's likely to get a markdown sticker soon. This is also when the new weekly ad goes into effect, often lowering prices on complementary items like butter jam syrup and brunch staples. For strategic shoppers, this creates a full-circle opportunity: fresh bread to eat right away, near-expiration bread to freeze, and add-ons at better-than-usual prices. By contrast, shopping on the weekend usually means you're left with what's already been picked over. The best bread is gone, the deep markdowns have disappeared, and the selection is noticeably thinner. 6. Love and Fresh private label bread and real-world quality. When shoppers see the Love and Fresh label, many still fall back on a familiar assumption: private label bread must be just good enough. At Aldi, however, Love and Fresh isn't designed as a cheap filler brand. It's the backbone of the bakery section. Aldi tightly controls the recipes, sizes, and pricing to maintain consistent standards from batch to batch. The most noticeable difference is texture and consistency, from sandwich bread and bagels to sweet rolls. Love and Fresh rarely delivers the experience of "this loaf is good that one is dry." For regular buyers, that repeatable consistency, buying again and getting the same result, is the real value. Aldi cuts spending on advertising, fancy packaging, and brand premiums, but doesn't sacrifice the basic eating experience. Another reason Love and Fresh earns strong reviews is practicality. The bread isn't so soft that it falls apart, and it isn't so dense that it dries out quickly. That balance makes it versatile, good for eating right away, toasting, making sandwiches, or short-term freezing. Many items are even directly compared by shoppers to name brands, often with surprising results: clearly lower prices with quality that holds its own. 7. Why Aldi bread disappears so quickly. Many shoppers have experienced the same frustrating moment at Aldi. You find a bread you really like at a good price, plan to buy it again next time, and just 1 week later it's gone. Not temporarily out of stock, but completely gone. This isn't accidental. It's a direct result of how Aldi runs its bakery. Aldi doesn't manage its bakery with a keep-it-safe, long-term mindset. Fast rotation is the priority. Every new product that hits the shelf is treated as a test. If it sells quickly, it stays. If sales slow, it's pulled. There's no long trial period to let shoppers gradually warm up to a product. For Aldi, shelf space has to perform immediately, otherwise it's replaced. The private label exclusivity adds another layer. Most Aldi bakery items exist only within Aldi's system, with no alternative retailers. When a product is discontinued, it isn't slowly phased out or transferred elsewhere. Like at traditional supermarkets, it ends decisively. This helps Aldi keep shelves lean, reduce inventory risk and control costs, but it creates that familiar sense of disappearance for shoppers. There's also a quieter factor at play: intentional scarcity. When items vanish quickly, shoppers pay more attention, make faster decisions, and return more often just to see what's new. 8 in-house bakery models at select Aldi locations. Not all Aldi stores are the same, and one of the biggest differences comes down to whether they operate an in-house bakery. At certain locations, Aldi doesn't just receive bread from regional bakeries, they bake it directly in the store. The easiest signs are a bake shop with glass walls, the smell of fresh bread coming from behind the counter, and shelves being replenished throughout the day. This model isn't rolled out everywhere. Aldi treats in-house baking as a selective test reserved for stores with high foot traffic, suitable space, and clear demand. For shoppers, the experience at these locations is noticeably different. The bread is softer, more aromatic, and has a much stronger sense of being truly fresh compared with items delivered from off-site bakeries. That said, in-house bakeries come with a reality shoppers need to understand. Production volumes are limited. Sales are concentrated in specific windows during the day, and items often sell out quickly. Aldi doesn't overbake just to keep shelves looking full. If you shop later in the day, you may find mostly empty trays or only less popular items left. This leads some customers to assume the store has very little bread, when in fact the best items sold out earlier. So if you happen to live near an Aldi with an in-house bakery, your shopping habits may need to adjust. Go early, pay attention to when fresh batches come out, and don't expect every variety to be available every day. 9 bakery options for dietary needs. Most people don't think of dietary-specific products when they approach Aldi's bakery, but this is actually an area where Aldi performs surprisingly well. Instead of offering a token option or two, Aldi has built dedicated lines for gluten-free and keto shoppers, and importantly, these products aren't pushed off into a corner just to check a box. With gluten-free bread, Aldi focuses on recreating the eating experience of regular bread as closely as possible. The texture isn't overly crumbly, it isn't dry,